We have an exciting clash between two amazing Blitz players in the world of chess, Praggnanandhaa with the white pieces and Hans Niemann with black. We are at the FIDE World Teams Blitz 2026, Pragg playing for the Chess Gurukul team, Hans for Endgame.ai. The game starts off with d4, knight f6, knight f3, and Hans pushes his pawn to e6. Pragg plays the e3 move. Now, Pragg is fresh from an amazing performance in the Rapid where he clinched the gold medal on board 1. Let's see how he fares in the Rapid section. Bishop comes out to d3. This is known as the Kohli system, where white is a slightly less ambitious because the pawn here on e3 blocks his bishop, but he plans to put the bishop on b2. That's the idea. Yes, pawn to b3 by Pragg, and he would love to push his pawn to c4 later. Bishop e7, pawn comes up to c4, and there's just no way to get a very clear position here as black or even white. You just play a very complex game. That's what Pragg wants against Hans. Pawn to c5, and bishop comes out to b2. Black castles, and now you have an option. Put the knight on d2 or put on c3. Pragg delays the decision, puts his queen on e2, and now Hans brings his knight to c6. He's attacking the d4 pawn. It's well defended, well guarded, but maybe it's no longer easy to get your knight to c3. So knight d2 seems like a very natural move here to finish development. And a3 played here by Pragg because he didn't want any knight b4 business attacking his bishop. A very natural way for black to play is to go rook c8 and start putting some pressure on the c4 point. He goes queen c7, which is also very logical. And Pragg goes knight d2. The rook comes to d8, attacking the d4 pawn. And for white, maybe rook c1 is an idea, or rook d1. He goes rook to d1 here. And rook fe8. Both players calmly improving their position. Okay, I think black has reached a point of maximum improvement. Maybe one plan here, which is very interesting, is to play your queen here. He goes bishop f8. This is slightly risky, I must say, because when you take the pawn, suddenly the bishop will take on f6 and double the pawns. But Hans is completely fine with that. He goes knight to e7, moves his knight away. And now d takes c5 is a possibility because the knight is coming to g6. That's what he wants. If knight g3, knight g6. And I feel like black's position is just much more harmonious here. So Pragg is trying to change the pattern of play. He takes on c5. And remember, after queen takes c5, bishop f6, gf6 seems to give black a fine position. So Hans takes on c5, queen takes c5 and plays his bishop to d4. Now if you take on a3, I have rook a1 and this is hanging. So queen goes back to c7 and pawn push to c5. There's pressure down the c file, threatening c takes b6. So the best way is to take on c5 and play queen to b8. But look at the time. Hans down to 1 minute 20 seconds. 1 minute 50 seconds for Pragg. Queen b8. But now, isn't this trouble? Takes. And bishop b5. Pragg finds it. Of course, you couldn't take the pawn here because of bishop takes f3 and the bishop was hanging. But bishop b5 attacks the rook. And now, you need to block knight d7. That's uncomfortable. That's not a pleasant feeling here if you have to bring your knight back to d7. And Hans does play it. Pragg is clearly better here. Okay, one way is to cash in immediately. You see there's an attack here. Only one defender. Move the bishop away somewhere and you win it. But the other is be calm. have trust in your position. Knight g3, bishop comes back to b2, and there's a lot of pressure. Even the knights could jump here. So Pragg now has a decision to make, and boom, he takes on g7. He feels that in Blitz, a weak king for his opponent is a big advantage. Okay, have to come back, bishop b5. No, he goes e4. But now Hans can actually take over the initiative with a move like queen f4, because the e4 pawn is weak. And look at these two bishops. But Hans goes queen a8. He puts pressure this way. Pragg jumps in with the knight, defending the pawn. a3 pawn, do you want to take it? It is free. It is hanging. You could take it. He goes knight to g6. But now Pragg can save the pawn. a4, bishop b5. He goes rook c7. Oh, he moves his rook to the 7th rank. A good move, by the way. Putting pressure. Hans comes knight e5. Now, a very good idea is take, and queen h5. Because if you take the rook, I have check, king h8, check, king g8, knight h5 with a forced mate. It's too tough to see. That's why Pragg goes knight to h5. And he wants to take and take here. But queen b8 is a very powerful move. If the rook moves back, d7 is hanging. Takes on e4. That's a mistake. Knight g5 is a strong idea here. But it's such a tough move because you have to give up the g2 pawn. You know, knight g5, bishop g2, knight g7, and then you win the e5 knight. But he goes knight takes e5, bishop e5, and rook c4. A very good idea, attacking e4. If you move the bishop, e5 hangs. So Hans, down to 20 seconds, needs to find a way out of this. f5, only move, giving up the e6 pawn. That's the thing about these top players. They provide maximum resistance. And again, b5, what a beautiful move found. Not thinking about the bishop, attacking the rook. If bishop takes b5, you have rook d1, queen d1, and bishop d5. Wow, incredible play. And Pragg is shocked there. He's a bit surprised. He's like, wow, how is Hans finding these moves? I need to be very, very quick. Bishop takes e6, king h8, and now comes back rook c1. And the point now is that if you move the bishop, e5 is hanging, but rook e8 played. The better idea was rook f e8. But okay, rook d8, attacking the bishop. bd7 for Pragg is winning, because now this bishop is hanging, this bishop is protected, the rook, oh my goodness. How is Hans going to come out of this? It's not at all easy. He goes queen a7 check. Remember, Pragg is a pawn up. King h1. And I think Hans' idea is to go rook e7 to attack the bishop again. But now bishop takes b5 is winning, because these two bishops are hanging. And look at this point. If you go bishop a8, I have rook d7. If you take here, queen e5 with a check. Tough, tough, tough. Rook c8 played by Pragg. Takes bishop c8, also winning the game. Now these two bishops are weak. Queen c7. Hans actually not even defending anything. He's always going for a counter-attack. Amazing play. Queen e8. Now pressure here, but Pragg is totally winning. Rook f1. He's 2 pawns up. His king is safer. Everything looks perfect. Queen f3 played. Bishop d4. And now queen g3. Stopping rook e1, but he plays rook f1. And Hans, with just few seconds, finds rook e1. Insane. Knight g3 is the best move. Bishop f6, and somehow black is back in the game. You know why? Because somehow the rook, bishop, and the queen, everyone is coordinating beautifully. Knight to h5. Again, Pragg gets his chance. Bishop g5, now rook b1. But he pushes a bit too soon. That pawn needn't have been pushed, because now trades coming in. King f7, check. And Pragg here has an extra pawn. In fact, 2 extra pawns. He goes g3, but it's not sufficient. Rook h7. This pawn moving ahead kind of botched up the win for Pragg. f7. He comes back, knight f4, and beautiful defense. I mean, check here is game over, but the rook comes just in time. And now rook takes f7. Pragg keeps the rooks, but already the position is drawn. Rook g8, check. King h3. The bishop comes back. And now rook comes to a6. This is all but over now. Pragg cannot win anymore, but he's trying. This is the thing about Pragg. He loves to grind such positions. He has the patience. But what a defense by Hans. I mean, just think about it. He had no time. He was 2 pawns down. Everything was under control. But yet he kept posing problems to Pragg. That's just insane. Now Pragg trying to find a way to coordinate his pieces, looking elsewhere, looking at the team score, hoping that his other teammates have done better than him. 92. Arvind did beat Denis Lazavic. It's a huge result for Arvind. Sarana drew with Karthikeyan, and Pranesh lost to Lenier Dominguez. Vaishali lost to Zhu Jinner. But on the last board is a draw. So maybe this game is a key one for Chess Gurukul. And Pragg wants to win. And look at Pragg now. He's entering with his king. He finally got his king out from there. And Hans, unsure where to move his rook, goes rook a6. Knight d4. King e8. King comes in. Rook a3. Now the g3 pawn is falling. Oof. But now Pragg going all in. He gives up the g4 pawn. He's going for the mate. The last attempt. Check. King f8. King e6. If you take on g3, I give you a check and then I pick up your rook. So king g8. Beautiful defense. Hans so alert with even some time on the clock. And now it's Pragg's time to hope that this game ends in a draw. And it is a draw. Rook b5 and draw agreed. What a fight here by both the players. Of course, in the end, it was Hans Niemann's team that came out on the top because of one extra win. But intense is the word.